Welcome to video 2 of my interview with Jonathan Beech, Managing Director of Migrate UK.
Yeah, I think obviously that confusion's around at the moment. That horrific story in Scotland, Britannia Hotels, that instantly threw out its members of staff from the staff accommodation. Just shows a little bit of, I'll say ignorance about what's going on. Yeah. Okay. So do you think the job types definition may change? Obviously, at this moment, care workers are not included as the is the term key workers?
A skilled worker. So key workers are kind of more classed with the current virus pandemic that we're mixing. So key workers is really a huge term at the moment. It signifies the importance of these workers. But the government before this pandemic struck were talking about skilled workers. So their definition is skilled workers and what meets the minimum requirements going forwards from next year. So they will be looking at skill levels. They already have defined which jobs, as it currently stands, meet the minimum skill levels to come into the UK under sponsorship. But of course, aside from sponsorship, we could be looking at other immigration categories that could work for organisations in hospitality and care and construction and retail that normally wouldn't meet the immigration rules. And that's going to be important to understand how the government are going to introduce or expand other categories that don't need employers to pay certain levels of salary or meet certain levels of skill. But you're right, you're looking at the terminology. So is someone a care worker or are they a skilled care worker? Is someone going to be a foreman or a builder? Is someone going to be a senior bar manager or just a normal bar manager? Where is the integration? Where is the difference?
I've worked a lot in hospitality for X number of years, and I'm seeing that there's a lot of, I'll use the word shyster. Does that translate?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
South? Yeah. Yeah, right. Who seem to be misleading. Those are probably agents and trying to mislead hotels and so on like that, who are desperate for staff, particularly chefs and so on. And so, how does Migrate protect those particular clients from that shyster agent?
Firstly, we provide free advice. For any initial caller or inquiry, we provide free advice. It's very important that they understand where they understand where they stand in terms of the law, because the implications are so high. Only the last report at the end of the last quarter, I believe until the end of December, there were about £12 million worth of fines for employers who weren't carrying out the rules correctly, who were investigated. And these are just the ones who are investigated. There aren't many teams available at the Home Office at the moment to go and investigate allegations of mistreating employees or not hiring them correctly. So what we do is we provide a service where we can initially a free service. We can assist with providing compliance and auditing. So we can go and speak to an organisation either online or in person, understand what they're going to be doing for the 12 months, who they currently hire, what they currently pay, what paperwork they keep. We just tidy them all up to make sure they don't have to watch their door every 5 minutes waiting for that knock from the Home Office because an allegation has been made. So we just make sure that everyone is fully compliant. For those organisations who would need a sponsor licence, we can help get that as well. So really it's more of a strategic than a reaction function. So that's what we will do, is we try and provide all the guidance way in advance so people know what to plan for. And there are certainly a lot of things that employers need to be doing from the summer in readiness for the major changes in January.
Yeah, I think that's the worry that most people have at the moment. Businesses are closed down for how long, we don't know. They're fighting for their survival, never mind staff situations. But it is, as you just said there, really important that they start having some sort of vision ahead. And and
That's
don't
right,
park this.
exactly. They need to be competitive. If we're looking at the main way that employers can hire staff, we are going to be looking at more importance on having a license. So it enables them to sponsor employees, it's a work permit scheme, because there are at the moment very few other immigration categories where they can use individuals to work freely. You've got, for example, working holiday makers under the Youth Mobility Scheme. They can come and work for 2 years. Dependents of people who are here on a long-term basis. Spouses of settled people. There are a few categories, but if we look about the sheer number of employees, they can't be covered by these routes. So it is about being competitive. We had a look at some figures yesterday from 2019, which were really quite revealing, that there are currently 990,000 active employers who are limited companies in the UK, and about 440,000 partnerships. All employers, so about 1.4 million employers in the UK, and only 31,000 of these employers hold a sponsor license. So if you look at just limited companies alone, that is less than that's about 3%. 3% of employers hold a license to enable them to hire staff. If they want to plan to be competitive against everyone else who holds a license and cherry pick those employees they really want, they're going to need to think about getting a license sooner rather than later. And I say sooner because the Home Office is very stretched with their resources. They say in their press release that employers should be looking at getting a license from the autumn, but we're saying think about it probably around about June, July if you are looking at hiring any member of staff going forwards, even beyond this current crisis and potential financial crisis. You must be thinking ahead, because at some point you will need to be hiring. And where a lot of employers have been thinking, look, we don't need a license because we hire British, settled or Europeans, that will very soon change. So they do need to get on board with this and think.
When you could consider that in London, 90% of the back office staff in hospitality are European or other migrant areas, yeah?
It is very alarming. And I think now, and especially what we're trying to do with people who contact us, is we look at the demographic and the makeup of their current workforce, try and plan ahead to think about what they will need. We forecast. So those who will need a license, for example, need to forecast a year in advance what vacancies they think they have. With those vacancies, we will then match them up and just see whether they would need sponsorship or whether another immigration category would suit them, or whether they can qualify for that. So we would actively do that. I think those organisations need to think about doing that because, of course, as you know, a lot of their current workforce in hospitality won't qualify for sponsorship. So I think the most important thing, the message to get out is look after the workers you've currently got. Retain them as far as you can.
Yes.
If you can afford to keep them happy. I know that a lot of hospitality firms are laying off staff at the moment, but you've got to try and keep that confidence and keep them on side. And also be aware of the fact that all Europeans who are going to be in the UK before the end of this year will have the chance of staying under free movement rights. So they will be able to continue working freely without a work permit or sponsorship. So utilise that chance because unfortunately hospitality is going to be one of the areas that's going to be very, very badly hit. And the government are kind of the opinion that a lot of employers can recycle staff that are currently here. They can use dependents of staff who are already here as well. I believe it's short-sighted. I don't think it's going to be very long into the new year before employers are crying out saying we told you so, and it's going to be a couple of years of complete uncertainty where the goalposts are completely moving, just moving consistently.
What I'd like from what I'm hearing about what Migrate offers, it's and I'm hopefully not putting words in your mouth, but going with Migrate as a business and asking you to do the work is almost like getting an insurance policy around.
You're right. It is. It is exactly that. It's a peace of mind We do deal with a lot. We're kind of seen as an extended HR function. We don't replace HR in any shape or form. We're kind of a legal arm to HR, and it does give that reassurance, especially with an ever-changing environment, and having to think about alternative strategies. The difficult thing with immigration is that the obvious solution at the time may not be the best solution going forward for an individual. So you could get someone one particular status and find out that they can't stay any longer than maybe 1 or 2 years, and then they have to leave. They can't come back for 12 months. There's a cooling off period. And it really, really, really plays havoc with an employer or a family in the UK. So it is a strategic game. It is an insurance policy. But an insurance policy that does have a real backing from the fact that we are looking at protection, not only against huge fee and income loss for people, but also the emotional loss of being split from families. Because you are people who are making applications to join loved ones in the UK, they could be waiting for 6 months before they get a decision, and the family is split during that time. And a lot of people will come to us in these situations and want us to help, because there's a very good chance that it will be done correctly the first time, and they won't have to pay extra fees and wait another 6 months for it to be done. And as mentioned earlier, it's keeping the Home Office from the door in terms of making sure that organisations are compliant and keeping the CEOs out of prison.
Yeah, so yeah, I shouldn't have used the word insurance because that's a little dirty word at the moment. Maybe we should have talked about a kite mark or a quality mark or standard there. You did touch
happy with the insurance policy side.
All right. Okay. Yeah. A premium policy. Yeah, that pays out. Okay. You did touch upon HR then. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. And I know that you support HR rather than replacing that. I read a recent Gartner report that says only 15% of CEOs make a decision based upon HR input. I think many CEOs in the past have regarded people as more cannon fodder than anything else. Do you think this needs to change?
This is actually really surprising. Was this actually a recent report from the last, say, 12 months? Yeah.
Yes, it was commissioned by a company called OrgView that provides HR management software to companies like Tesco, HSBC, and so on.
It is very, very surprising. We're only a relatively small business, but we do work with larger businesses. And I personally would have thought that most businesses would have seen their staff as their greatest asset. And really, it does make me wonder where the other communication or the other input comes from. I mean, looking at HR seem to be a very, very good mouthpiece of the actual strength and direction of an organisation. And they handle and they understand staff perceptions of that particular organisation as well, where the CEO might not. I mean, CEOs will be juggling hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of plates at any one time anyway. And outsourcing is a key function of a CEO. It's certainly from my perspective, that's what we try and do is as we're getting busier and growing, we're trying to outsource our functions to very trusted advisors. And HR are a profession. They very clearly know what they're doing, and I think communication is key here. And working with HR, I think they can help decision making, improving the quality and the confidence of decision making as well. So it does come as a surprise. I mean, I would say that personally, I think that would need to change. Absolutely.
Yes, yeah. Especially as my mantra is that people make profits, but the academics tell me no, it's brands make profits, and I disagree. That says Mr. Ratner, but never mind. I'd like to just ask you one final question, if I may, please. And you've got exceptional and deep experience within your team, albeit a small team.
That's it.
You're very compact in that. What are the 3 key messages that you would like businesses to heed and to gain from our conversation today?
It is well, it is preparation. It's strategic thinking. Moving forwards, it's this way that we think is we're not transactional. It's thinking forwards, planning. Although it's a time now where people are having to react. At some point we will get through this, and I think it's a case of looking to see what the key changes in place in the law are already now, what they're going to be in January. I would say use this time. If we're looking at a downturn, we're looking at less work to be done. It's looking at other areas of your business that you can enhance. So enhancing your brand, your offering, make sure you're clear on what your call to action is. And also kind of refining your services and your business plan. So you're very clear on what skills you've got, not moving too far away from what your core business is. But on the other point is also making sure you understand your clients through these times of change, understanding what their needs are. Look at offering things for free, be it an information service. That's what people are looking for. We've recently tried to really up our activity on social media, which is something that I've always been afraid of doing. And we're finding it a revelation, to be honest with you, with providing news feeds and free information on services such as LinkedIn and Twitter. And I think it's really effective communication at this time, which is another very, very big key benefit for preparations and planning. It seems that everyone's saying this, it's preparations and planning and not having just to kind of live through the rainy day period. But I think it's very, very important that every business looks at what their key offering is now, and looks at how they can work through this for maybe when there is going to be a recovery. I mean, at the moment we're looking at recovering from a virus and then very possibly recovering through a very sinister looking recession after that. But life will move on.
Oh, and then there's Brexit as well. Yeah. Sorry, and then there's Brexit.
Well, that's
as well
it. I mean, again, there's lots of news about whether that's going to be delayed as well. But the Prime Minister was adamant, wasn't he, that it's gonna stick to the key dates. But every day is different. Every news release, people are hooked. I think there's 27 million viewers daily average looking at the Prime Minister's response to what the current situation is and offering advice on what people need to be doing. So yes, it's it is troubling, but again, a lot of the countries are offering stimulus within their own countries, which will hopefully, I suppose, for want of a better word, infect other nations in a positive way. So there's going to be too much of a mountain to climb economically when we get out of this.
As a final question, I asked Jonathan, what should leaders be doing now?
To prepare for this. So there might not be another time like this. It is unprecedented times now. You could be looking at 3 months. And you're getting a lot of parents who are saying to their kids, look, you've got 3 months now, make the most of it. You could come out the other side 2 stone heavier, or you could come out fit as a racehorse. You could be reading and staying off playing all the computer games. And it's the same with businesses. It is, the opportunity is certainly there. And we are like any other business. Although we're having a lot of activity with people who are very worried about what's going on with their individual status at the moment. We are expecting there to be maybe fewer inquiries of people who need to get sponsorship or who want to join family members because they realise they can't travel here. So, but it will have to, and it will happen at some point, maybe in 3 or 4 months' time. So we need to be prepared for when that starts, putting the grounding in place, making sure that we are ready for it, rather than just being reactionary, because the whole business for the last, 16 years has been based on preparation and strategy, and not having to be reactive. The message really is for other businesses to try and use this time and be the same.
I hope you've enjoyed both my videos of the interviews with Jonathan Beech, Managing Director of Migrate UK. It's so important to do it right and get it right, and Jonathan and his team will help you.